So I'd like to move on and finish this chapter by talking about the finalize method. When an object is actually garbage collected, and by that I mean when the garbage collection process physically removes the object from the heap rather than when it becomes eligible for garbage collection, at this point Java will run the finalize method of that object. Now this finalize method is available to use in any version of Java, but actually it was deprecated from Java 9. I'm going to suggest we look at what it does and then we'll understand why it has been deprecated. I want to talk about finalize because we do see people from time to time put code in the finalize method, and as we're about to see, it's generally not a good idea. So we'll go back to the code that we've just been looking at. And in the customer class, I think what we could do is put in the finalize method here. Now we don't need to use the override keyword, but I'm going to put it in just to make sure that I get the method declaration correct. And it's a public void method called finalize, and it takes no parameters. Okay, well that looks like it's compiling, so I've hopefully got the method signature correct. And let's just print something out in here so that we know the finalize method has run. And what I think we'll do is print out something like this object is being, well, I think we'll put gseed, garbage collected. And let's follow that by the name of the customer. And then if we make sure that all of our customers have different names, we'll know which object has been garbage collected. So to do this, let's go back to the main method. And I think we'll just run it for 100 customers this time. And rather than saying that our customer should be the customer John, we'll say it's customer followed by the number from the integer here. So we'll have customer 1, customer 2, and so on. So let's put in here the word customer and then the number I. I think I'll just put a space in there so it's a little bit neater. So let's run this and see what the console output looks like. Okay, well that has finished, and the results here I think are quite interesting. So if you remember, we called system.gc here, and then after we call that, we look at the amount of free memory. So here, the amount of memory after we've called gc has gone back up, so the garbage collection process has run. But what we can see is that, well, there's certainly not 100 of the customers being collected here. In fact, it looks like it's probably about 20. And the customer numbers appear a little bit random. We started on 56, then we went to 99. And, well, they're certainly not in any kind of logical order there. Just to prove the point, if I run this again, we'll see it's completely different customers, and in fact, a different number of customers for which the finalize method has been run. So what's going on here is that the application finished before all of the different objects were removed from the heap. So for all of those objects, and there were, remember, 100 of them in total, and there's only about, in this case, about 15, I think here, that have had their finalize method run. For the rest of them, the garbage collector didn't bother collecting them because the application finished before it got that far, which means that those objects' finalize method never ran at all. And so the worst thing you can do in the finalize method is put in here some kind of code that's doing some kind of cleanup, such as closing resources, for example. You must never put that in the finalize method because you don't know if it's ever going to run, and if it does run, when it's going to run. You never know, if you put something like that in the finalize method, that the resource is ever going to get closed. In fact, if we look now at the finalize method documentation in the Java 11 version of the Java docs, we'll see the deprecation warning here is telling us that there are all sorts of damage we could do by using the finalize method. So the important point here is that the garbage collector might not run, and it won't run because it's only needed to keep the heap nice and tidy while your application's running. If your program reaches the end, even if the heap is cluttered with lots of objects which are eligible for garbage collection, the Java virtual machine might decide not to bother running the garbage collector, And in fact, if your application's finished, the Java virtual machine will just simply destroy, remove from memory all of those objects, and the garbage collector will never be run. And then these finalize methods will never be called. So you absolutely cannot rely on the finalize method being called.